Hello everyone. Had some troubles with DigitalOcean droplet, which I use to stream to both YouTube and PeerTube. So I directly connected to YouTube, and it won't be a copy on PeerTube, but we will have something at least. Okay. Today's topic is IRC. Let's talk about why someone will use it, and we'll cover some IRC basics, and also we'll talk about a little more advanced techniques we can use to improve user experience with IRC. Hi Dmes, nice to see you. And first of all, let's talk about history a little and the reasons why today we talk about IRC at all. First of all, someone said that this hackery magic happens somewhere on mailing list and IRC chats. So I think it's most important reason why we will be talking about IRC today. But it's a joke. In reality, we will talk about IRC, about practical reasons why we will use it. First of all, let's explore or define what it is. The simple one, the simple definition that it's just a lightweight synchronous group communication with some federated architecture, and it's a good description of IRC protocol, but it's also a very old and of course open protocol that survived for 30 years, and it was used in a lot of different applications, not only for chatting, but also it became a part of some games, for example, to make a communication inside the game. If someone remember Worms Armageddon game from Team 17, also it used on a popular streaming service called Twitch as a primary protocol for the chat, but also they do some extensions, and the web interface probably works a little different, but you still can connect to Twitch chat using IRC client, and there are a lot of places where it used, but today we will be talking more about software projects, free software, free and open source software projects, and why they use IRC. Of course, many of them use because they're quite old, and it was the only option back in time. But even today, it works quite good and still serves the need. And important quality of it, it's asynchronous communication. That means that in most cases, when you join to IRC channel and talk with people, you do it, it's just right now, and it's not intended for long-running asynchronous communication. For this, we have emails and mailing lists, so we can walk away for a few days and come back, read new emails and reply them whenever we want. But if you want to chat right now, discuss some problem, or try to find a solution, it's quite good to use asynchronous communication tool, and IRC serves the needs very good. But of course, it's not very usual for younger people who used to instant messaging application, which have the history and has notifications and all the bells and whistles. But I can explain how you can get the better experience, which some of you probably expect from chatting application. And I also will mention why you probably don't need some of the features. Okay, let's talk about basic terminology in IRC world. The first of the first thing is an IRC network. It's a group of servers which connected together, and you can connect to any of those servers and communicate with everyone on this network and connect to the channels on this network. It's a little different. It's a federated architecture because you have multiple servers which connected in one network, but it's a little different from Mastodon, for example. It's more a closed federation, so you can't connect to libera.chat IRC network and chat with someone on OFTC or QuakeNet or some other. But it is possible that different servers of the same network are operated by different people, and it provides some benefits and some downsides, of course, but it is what it is, and it works good enough. So we won't be comparing those types of federations. So let's just accept it. And of course, the second part is a server. Actually, it's just a one node of IRC network, and when you connect to the network, in most cases you will be connected to some particular server and will interact with it, and this server will interact with all other servers in the network, and those servers will talk to the rest of the clients. On each IRC network we have channels. They can be private or public. In most cases IRC used for public communication, but it's not the rule. You can have your own IRC server or the IRC server for your team or company or some other organization, and have your own public and private channels on this network. The only difference between them is public channels is visible for everyone who connected to this network, and private channels are not visible. There is also possibility to change the way how channels works. For example, you can create invite-only channels, the channels with password protection, and so on. But we will cover it a little later. And to start with IRC, there is a good resource called irchelp.org, which has a lot of documents which allows new user to come and become familiar with IRC quite fast. For example, new to IRC page explains all the basics of IRC, which allow you to start in just a few minutes. Okay, we have a basic terminology. We know where we can start, and also I will share a few more thoughts which you can use to explore the basics of IRC. I will be using IRC client, which is Emacs built-in IRC client, for the demonstration purpose and also for explanation of the concepts. And you can read a documentation. It's not very big, just a few pages, and it also explains some basics of IRC, some basics of IRC, and helps you to get started. So you can just open a new Emacs instance, open info documentation for IRC, and read it. Really not that long, and explains all the basic stuff that you need. And a few more links: irchelp.org/fuck you, which has a list of articles which you can use to explore basic and not very basic, maybe even advanced concepts of IRC, like how to operate channels or even IRC networks. And the good article which I would recommend to read after you read a new to IRC article is IRC tutorial. Of course, if you're already familiar with IRC, you don't need to do it. It's just a way you can start to use IRC. And every time you are in your IRC client, you can call a help command and see a list of available commands. And sometimes when you talk with a bot, you can message him with a help, and he will reply with the list of available comments and additional information. Now we got all the basics. Now let's start some practice. First of all, let's try to connect to some server, and for that we will be using IRC server select command. It will ask us which network we would like to use. One of the most widespread, one of the biggest, and very popular among free and open source software projects is libera.chat network. Previously, it was a freenode network, which has some conflict management, and most of the people migrated to libera.chat. And we pick a random server because we don't care to which server we will be connected. In some cases it may be important. For example, you want to connect to a server which is geographically close to you, or to the server which is available on your network. For example, you can have a server on your local area network and you don't have a connection to the internet, but the server has connection to the internet and is a part of a bigger IRC network. And when you connect to the server in your local area network, you will be able to chat to all the people around the world on the same IRC network. Okay, we connected with the same nickname that I use. That is why it's warned us and added a symbol at the end of the nickname. Let's reconnect to this network one more time, but with a different nickname. We will call again the same command. We'll pick a libera.chat and we'll pick a random server. Oh, it doesn't ask us for a nickname to use. Okay, let's do the trick. We will use we will set the nickname using setQ IRC nick, and we'll say something test nickname. And now let's do the same. Okay, now we connected to Libera network, and as you can see, every time we connected we had a different server, and now it's Lithium Libera chat, and I connected with test nickname. Now we see a message of the day, something that greets us when we connect to a server. It has some links to the information about Libera. Actually, there's one of the benefits of IRC, that it's very old protocol, very stable, and there are a lot of clients for different platforms, starting from Windows 3.11 probably, and some esoteric platforms which doesn't have even basic usual applications that we expect, but they have IRC clients. And of course we have a mobile IRC clients, web applications, and even IRC in Emacs, IRC clients in some games, and so on. I would not recommend any particular IRC client. Do a small research and find which one suits better for you. But because I already use Emacs for a lot of stuff, and I don't see reasons why not to use it for chatting in IRC, seems very logical. Have the same key bindings and workflows, but which I can also apply to online communication. Here we see some additional information about the network, but let's try to do some comments. Hi Grigory. Okay, see you later. First comment that we can use is a server comment, which accepts one argument, and we can use it to switch to a different server of this IRC network. For example, if some server became unavailable and something else happened, we can switch to a different server. Also, we can call a links command, which shows information about current server we connected to. And also the first thing that we would like to see is a list of channels, because talking to the server not very funny. So we would like to find a channel. We will join and we'll talk with some people. I know that there is a channel which I created myself, and I will connect to it. Now I can just type messages, and everyone who joined to this channel will get these messages and will be able to communicate with me. On Libera there is around 7,000 channels, and the number of users very different, up to almost 3,000, and you can join almost to any of those services and talk to the real people. And actually I can join to a few channels at the same time. For example, the Emacs channel. And everything I do currently is typing just basic IRC commands /join and the name of the channel. But I also can use hotkeys from which are provided by IRC client. For example, here I typed Ctrl+C, Ctrl+J, and it shows me a list of all available channels. And for example, I want to join to Vim channel. I type Vim and see all the channel names which contains Vim in it. So now I joined to both Emacs and Vim channels. Dmes asks if there is any way to make IRC TLS not to prompt me for login data like server, nickname, password, every time, especially password is a bit annoying. Yes, actually there is a way. For example, there is a variable called IRC prompt for password, and here I can set it to nil, and IRC TLS won't be prompting me for a password, and it will try to obtain it from auth.info source. You can configure auth.info to read the connection details from .auth.info file. It can be GPG encrypted or a plain text, and in it you just set the username and server and the password in netrc format. Also, it's possible to set a different auth.info backends. For example, it's probably possible to source this information from your password manager, for example, password store utility, but I didn't configure it yet. The integration with password manager. But I will do it later and will share the results on RD repository, so you will be able to reuse it very likely. And later I will add it to the RD documentation, which is not written yet, but I will do it soon, I hope. The other way to use IRC TLS and to make it not prompt for the password and other stuff is to specify server nick and other arguments to the command and call it non-interactively. I will show you example how I connect to IRC bouncer, so it doesn't ask me every time for the credentials and other different connection details. But right now let's see one more thing. Sidebar. You can see here I have Emacs, Tropin and Vim channels, and actually I have new messages in Tropin and Emacs channels, and to switch between buffers I can use a basic IRC command join and type a channel name, for example Emacs, and see what someone written here. But also I can use a basic buffer navigation from Emacs, which allows me to switch between buffers. And also I can use a specific IRC buffer switching command, which I call with Ctrl-C, Ctrl-B, and it shows only IRC buffers. And here the first one will be Tropin because it has new messages. So this buffer list will show the channels with new messages at the top. And I see that Dmes written hello here, and actually I disabled the messages about which shows that someone joined, but here is a command /names which shows the list of users on the channel. Okay, we talked about the basics of IRC. We connected to the server, and after that we connected to the channel, and even talked with someone. Let's discuss one more trick that we will use during our usage of IRC is a part command. For example, if I don't want to stay in Vim channel, I will just type part, and Emacs will disconnect us from this channel, and we won't get any new notifications. Also, we can just close the buffer, and it will also disconnect us from this channel as well. For example, here I will just kill Emacs buffer, and now I have only one channel left which I am connected to. Good. The other trick that I didn't cover is when I connected to multiple servers. Actually, as we discussed already, there is a closed federation inside network, but the networks themselves are separate from each other. So if I want to connect to another network, I will type this command one more time, but for now I will connect to FTC or FTC network, which is different from libera.chat. And here I will get a list of channels, and it will be a different list of channels, as you can see here. And I will sort it by the number of the users, and you will see that at the end I have a different channel lists. And let's connect to, for example, most popular channel here, which is F-Droid. Okay, it doesn't allow to connect because I didn't use SSL when connected to the network. Let's try to connect to something else. For example, Weird. Yep, and I connected, and maybe also to LLVM. Good. Now I connected to 3 channels, and 2 of them on one server and the other one on another. And I can type a who am I comment, and it will say that I am a test nickname connected to kinetic of tc.net server, which located in United Kingdom. But I can go back to Tropin channel and type who am I one more time, and I will see that I am a person who is connected to Lithium libera.chat, which is located in London as well. Very nice. Now we have the same interface for interacting with channels from different IRC networks. But when we will be using Ctrl+C, Ctrl+B, it will show only 2 buffers. First one is the channel buffer, and the second is the server buffer. But it doesn't show the buffers from the different network. To show all the buffers which is related to IRC, I will use a prefix argument, Ctrl+U, Ctrl+U, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+B, and now I see the list of all channels from all the networks and the buffers for particular server. Yep, that's it. Okay, actually it's not necessary to know upfront the server and channel you want to connect to. You can explore irchelp.org and find a list of networks which can be interesting for you. Also, you can try to find other resources all over the internet and find the network which suits your need and particular channel on it, or vice versa. You try to find some channel for particular topic which can be located on some IRC network, and you connect to this network and to this channel. I place the link in the notes and you later can read these notes. I already explained a lot of comments that I have here, but let's see what else I didn't mention yet. For example, if I want to get the information about Dmes, I go to Tropin channel, and here I type who is mini kn, and it shows that this is a guy who connected only to one channel, which is Tropin, and he connected to the server which is based in North Carolina. But I connected to the server in London, but we still can communicate with each other, which is quite good. Also, I can see that Dmes is based in probably German. I think that D is a domain for German. It's possible to hide the IP address by using cloaking. It is a service provided by many IRC networks. DuckDuckGo. For example, Libera provided, so you need to join a Libera channel, Libera cloak, and ask to cloak me. Probably you connected to just a random server, so it's not a surprise that it's a server in United States. Basically, when you connect to irc.libera.chat, you connect to a random server, because under the hood, the DNS contains a lot of IP addresses that can be picked randomly. So it's every time you connect to the same domain, you can connect to a different machines. Okay, let me put this link in the notes. And let's go to the next section. Oh, actually, let's try to ping someone. The IRC has tab completion, so I don't have to type the whole nickname. I can type only part of it, and it will show me all the available options. Also, I can press tab and see almost all the commands available for me, and this list also has a list of nicknames. For example, probably even my nickname original. Very good. And to get more information about key bindings, you can type Ctrl-HM and see the key bindings available in IRC mod. They mostly prefixed with Ctrl-C, and there is not much, but you can also see a list of functions with Ctrl-HF and use IRC prefix, and it's a little bigger list of functions. You can explore it and get some cool features that you will be using later, but also there's a list of some variables that also related to IRC that you also can customize to get a different behavior. And of course you can use customize interface to do all the same stuff. Let's explore some commands which we can use to communicate with a person privately without using a channel. When we know the nickname of the person on the server, he doesn't have to be connected to the same channel as we just need his nickname. We can type message and type his nickname and the message itself. This message will be sent to him, but on basic clients you always see a pop-up window which shows the chat with a particular person, and to get the same we will be using query command instead of message, and it will open the chat with a person, so we will be able to type here. And later when he will respond, he already quite fast, I will be able to see his message, and that's it. When we're done with communication, I can close the chat, but if he write me again, as you can see there is no mini can buffer anymore, but if he type one more message to me, I will get this buffer again and will be able to reply him. Yep, thanks a lot. And here you see that buffer appeared, but it doesn't contain any previous history, which can be confusing for new users. But for all users, it's quite expected that every time you close a buffer, leave a channel, and so on, the history disappears. There's a possibility to keep the history. For example, you can log the history locally. So every time the buffer pop-ups, you have history loaded from your local files. But of course, this history won't be shared between different devices. And also, you can connect to the same network from different machines with the same credentials. That means if you connect to the network, you need to pick a different nickname every time. It may be also quite confusing, but think about it like you have only one identity, and this one identity can connect to the server. If you want to connect to the server a few times, you need a few different identities. It's like coming to the party. You can't come to the party a few times with different bodies. You can come only with one identity. And the same here about channels. If you left the channel early, or if you're late to the channel and didn't see the previous discussion, it's the same like being late to the party or leaving the party earlier. But there is a way to preserve the channel history. For example, many channels keep the history in and upload them to the web servers, so you can explore it later. And also, as far as I know, the IRC version 3 has some additions, which includes the keeping of the history. I don't really know how it will be implemented, but if someone interested, there's some work in this direction, and so maybe in the future even basic native IRC will be supporting the history without any advanced configurations. So we discussed one way to preserve the history, to store it in local files, and for example load it automatically to have the context of the discussion, but also there is another way not to miss the message. Sends on hello and thank you for a comment. This other way is using bouncer. Actually, we know that Dmes already using ZNC bouncer, and I use the bouncer called Sojo, provided by SourceHut. Actually, it's free and open source software, but I use the version which is deployed and operated by SourceHut. Maybe later I will use a self-hosted solution, but for now I don't do it. But I still quite satisfied with the quality of the service by SourceHut, so it's okay for me. But we have not finished with actually communicating with one person. There is another command which called notify. You can say notify and nickname, and when next time the person connect to the server, you will be get notified about this event. And another possibility to talk with someone is using direct connection, and you can type DCC chat and the nickname, and let's try to do it. DCC chat mini kn. I offered direct connection to mini kn, and if he will accept it, I will be able to communicate to him directly without using the IRC server. That means that we have a connection established between our hosts, and we don't need the IRC server anymore. And even if it will go down, we will be able to continue our communication. It is not the only benefit. The other benefit that we don't transfer our data through the IRC server, so we can have a really private communication. And to do the communication this way, we will use the same message command that we used before, but now we will use an equal sign before the nickname to specify that it's a message which should be sent directly without using IRC server. And also using the same direct connection, we can send files and get files. It works the same way. We send the request for sending, and the person on the other end can accept this request or reject it. To send it, we just type DCC send, nickname, and the file name for the current directory. To get the current directory, you just type Ctrl X, Ctrl F. Actually, I expected that the buffer will pop up for you, but we can type DCC help and see that what we have here. DCC list. Probably you need to type DCC chat and my nickname. And let me just try to send you a message. Mini-kn. This is a DCC message. Okay, it seems that you need to type DCC chat my nickname first, and after that we will be able to connect directly. Okay, that's basically it about chatting with a particular person. Now, when we connected to the IRC server, found the channel we want to listen for and communicate with other people, we would like to keep our nickname, and maybe we also would like to have a channel. Also registered for us and be persistent. So I didn't show you, but it's quite easy to create a new channel. For example, I will create a channel which doesn't exist by just joining to it. And if nobody before joined to this channel, I will be the only one person, and I will have some additional rights. At the beginning of my nickname you will see @ sign. That means that I'm operator of the channel, so I can set different properties for this channel. For example, I can make it invite only by setting what is called mods. I can set +i mod, which makes it invite only, or I can set a +k mod, which will make the connection possible only for people who knows the password. +k and some keyword. There is a special IRC mod. Oh, okay. Control C, Control O, and now I can type. For example, I, and it will turn invite only mode, and I can type K and type a password. And you see that it changes the mode for this channel, but I also can do the same using a basic mod command, what basically I did previously. Oh, I of course need to specify the channel. And if I want to remove invite only property of the channel mod, I will type -e, and I can type -k to remove a password from the channel. But I of course need to specify which password. This is about the basics of channel moderation. Also, you of course can kick a person or ban it, but you need to ban him first and later kick, so he can't rejoin after kick. And also you can set a topic of the channel. I use Ctrl C, Ctrl T hotkey, but I also can type a topic. This is a topic of the channel. Of course, I don't need quotes, but I so used to use quotes for arguments. Okay, about registration. Registration is not a part of IRC itself. It's done with additional bots, which can be provided by the server. And here, when I switch to libera, one second, libera.chat buffer. I can read the information about the documentation, and here is a link to Libera site, and here I can find guides, nickname registration, and here you can read how to interact with Nix server bot and how to register your nickname. And to do it, I will just type a message nix-serve help, and it will respond to me with a list of commands available, and will explain how to use it. I can use the guide provided here on the web page, or just try to figure out myself how to use it using this nix-serve. That's it. The same way you can not only register your nickname, but also register a channel and to claim that it belongs to this particular nickname. Some IRC networks doesn't allow to preserve nicknames and servers and channels, so if you leave the channel, you lose your permissions to this channel, and someone else can get the control of your channel, and the same for the nickname. So it's in most cases more preferable to use IRC network which supports nickname registration and channel registration too, so you can preserve your identity and channels that you want to be persistent. But in many cases, IRC also can be used for group communication for a small time scale. For example, if I'm on hackathon and want to discuss some ideas with my team, I will just create a hackathon team channel and will join to it. Some other person will join to this channel, we will discuss the ideas, and after a few days we will just leave this channel and everything will disappear. Let me see DCC list. Active DCC chat. The reason why we have problems with DCC is probably because I don't have a public IP address, and I'm behind the server which provide me with internet using network address translation. So it's not possible to connect directly between our machines, so we won't be able to establish a direct connection. I probably can configure it, but it will take time, so I don't want to spend it right now, so I will just stop the process of direct connection of attempts, and we can do it later if you want to test it. Very good. We talked about registration. We talked about managing channels, and the last bit that we not covered today is using of the bouncer, which allows us to be connected to the IRC network when our actual client is disconnected from it. For that, we will be using another machine which contains a bouncer server. Bouncer is IRC client which can be used as intermediate node. Bouncer connects to the IRC network and I connect to Bouncer, and I get messages not from the server of IRC network, but I get messages from Bouncer, and Bouncer gets the messages from IRC network. It's kind of proxy between me and IRC network. And when I disconnect from the Bouncer, it stay connected to the network and can get new messages and can show that my identity is still connected to the IRC network. And later, when I will reconnect to the Bouncer, I will get all the messages that happened when I was disconnected. And this a good way to preserve a chat history. For example, if you are interested in the discussions on a few channels and don't want to miss something, you can keep connected to them via Bouncer, and later when you will reconnect to the Bouncer, you will get all those messages. For example, I will show how I connect to the Bouncer using IRC with my client. I have a special function which connects me to the Bouncer and will connect to the particular network. Actually, you can use the same Bouncer to connect to a few networks, but I will explain it a little later. Here you can see that I have a list of channels that I'm connected to, and I see that there are a few new messages which happened when I was away and only Bouncer was connected to the IRC network. And let's see what was happening on Tropin channel. And you see that there is few events happened here, just as 3 persons said a few messages. I connected only to Libera network, and I was connected, the Bouncer was connected to the few channels, but I also from time to time visit OFTC IRC network, and I will connect to it too, and you will see that there are a few more channels appeared here. And if I call Ctrl+C, Ctrl+B, you will see OFTC the buffer for OFTC server and for channels from this network. And if I use Ctrl+U, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+B, I will see all the buffers from all the networks. And if I will switch to Libera buffer and type Ctrl+C, Ctrl+B, I will see only channels from Libera. The only problem here that if I will close the client without reading the new messages which come to me from the Bouncer, I will lose them unless I save them using logging functionality of IRC client, and this way they will be available on my machine and will be restored next time I will connect to the channel. But if I close the client right now and will reconnect to Libera and OFTC, you will see that all the unread counts disappeared, and now all the buffers for those channels looks very empty. Let's explore some technical details of IRC configuration that can be useful for you. But let's first close the bouncer topic. I use Soju, as I already mentioned, and I use the hosted version, which hosted by SourceHut. And here is a link where you can read about how to connect to this IRC bouncer provided by SourceHut. They also has a web interface, so you can open it directly in your browser without any configuration, and it will work out of the box. But if you prefer to use some custom IRC client, you will need to do a few tweaks in your configuration. Another alternative is to use ZNC bouncer, and it's probably there's probably some hosted versions, but in most cases it is expected that you will be installing ZNC yourself on some server and will be connecting to it. Soju is more modern and probably a little simpler bouncer server, but from what I see, it works quite good. I can't complain about it. I didn't use ZNC. Actually, I'm not a very frequent user of IRC, but for open source projects, it's a very popular option. So I need to visit it from time to time. But later, when I configured bouncer, I quite enjoy the IRC experience, and probably it will be the primary way for synchronous communication for RD project, for synchronous communication, of course. So if you need some help or want to chat about some features and just talk about some interesting topics, you can join RD channel. It's invite only for now, but I will open it soon. Or you can join also to Tropin channel and to talk about streams and related topics. And for synchronous communication, we are using mailing lists, so links will be on RD project page and in the description of the stream. So you always can ask questions and make feature requests or discuss something on RD Devil and RD Discuss mailing lists. Yep, that's it about synchronous and asynchronous communication for RD project, and that's it about bouncers. Let's talk a little about one more cool thing called Beetlebee. As I said, I'm not a very active user of IRC, but right now I already get the taste of it and quite enjoy it, and probably will become a more active user of IRC. And I know that many person like the IRC clients and the way they interact with IRC clients, so they created a gateways to different protocols and different instant messaging applications, so they can use their IRC clients to communicate to persons from other instant messengers. And one of the application, which called Beetlebee, it is a gateway to many different protocols. You can talk to your friends on Facebook or Telegram or somewhere else using your basic IRC client, which can be quite cool and interesting. I didn't try it, but probably I will do it. I don't see many benefits for me, because I try to use synchronous communication only whenever it's necessary, or when I have some spare time, and for other I prefer asynchronous communication, so I can reply to messages whenever I want, and whenever I have time and desire to do it. So I prefer to keep my primary communication channel to be an email. Hello, Sohaib Mohammed. We already finishing our stream, but if someone has some questions, you can ask it, and probably we will finish in a minute or sooner. Oh no, we won't finish. I wanted to show you a configuration and to explain what we do here. There is a configuration that I currently use. We have a configuration for sidebar. IRC status sidebar is a thing that allows to see the list of the channels on the left. Sometimes I find it useful because there's a problem with list of buffers provided by completion framework. First of all, it can be quite small, but it's not the most important problem. The most important problem for me is that it jumps around when I switch to a different channel. The order changes, and I don't quite like it. So sometimes I prefer to have a list of channels available on the left. Nothing very special here. We just set a width of the sidebar in the characters, and we set our buffer to have a header line instead of mod line, because everywhere in RD Emacs we have mod line at the top of the buffer. For a few reasons, usability and nice look and feel. After that, we set a few more variables for IRC itself. It's IRC server and port. By default, I set them to IRC libera.chat and port for TLS connection. Also, I set nickname if it is provided, and also I set a list of after joined channels. Here you can see how it looks. In my case, I call feature Emacs IRC with those arguments, IRC nickname, IRC server, and so on, and IRC after joined channel list. This after joined channel list will be used in case you connected to the network and it matches the name of the network, and when it matched, it will connect to the channels. There is a variable called IRC network list, which has a list of pairs, for example, a symbol, libera.chat, and a regular expression or pattern, which will be used against server names. And there is another variable called IRC server list, which contains a list of servers which corresponds to some network. For example, here we have like 8 lines of servers that are available for libera.chat. The first one is IRC libera.chat, Actually, you can see here there is a port specified, and this port doesn't use TLS connection. So when you connect with IRC select server select, it will connect without TLS. And you're probably interested in IRC TLS function, which will establish a encrypted connection. But here, first one is random server, which will connect to IRC libera.chat, which under the hood has a list of different IP addresses, and you will be connected to a random one. And the same thing that you see here. You can use more specific domain name, and here you will be connected only to European server, and here you will be connected only to United States, and so on. And this one can be used to connect only via IP v6. Sometimes I fall back to the original language, so if you hear unfamiliar words, probably they're not from English. Or maybe I came up with some new word. Okay, after that, if you have align names specified, it will set 3 options. And here you can see that in the channel, we have our names aligned to this column. And some longer nickname won't fit it, but most of the nickname and messages will be aligned by this column. And it seems easier to read in some cases, so I prefer to have this option enabled. But if you disable it, everything will be starting from the first symbol. After that, I hide a few types of messages from the chat, so I don't see them popping up every time someone joins or left the channel. Also, I hide when the mod of the channel modified, or every time I connect to the channel. In a few seconds after that, it shows the mods for the channel and creation time, and I'm not very interested in this information as well, so I remove it from IRC track, so it doesn't update the notification here, the number of new messages. Yep, and I also ignore all the stuff that I remove from appearing from the list of messages I see. I also don't track them and don't show them in the list of new events for this channel. And after that, there is another option called IRC kill buffers on quit, which makes all the buffers disappear when I disconnect from a network. For example, here, let's try to disconnect from it will be Libera network, because currently I'm in a Tropin channel from Libera network. So when I type quit, I will disconnect from the network and from all the channels of this network. But I keep connected to those channels from OFTC network. And as you saw, all the buffers disappeared except the buffer with channel lists, which still related to libera.chat, but not a channel or server buffer. So it's okay that it's not disappeared. Okay, and also I customize header line to show less information. For example, I don't show the topic on it to make it a little simpler to read. Actually, we can show here the topic and all that stuff, Maybe for someone it will be useful. I will think about it more, how better to present this information to the user, and how to use the mod line for it, but we'll do it a little later. Let's also talk about last piece, important piece that I wanted to highlight today, is connecting to bouncers. I created two dummy functions which just sets one variable which is necessary during connection process, and after that call a function which connects to the bouncer. I use source HUD, the bouncer provided by source HUD. That is why I will be connecting to chat source HUD, but it should be your bouncer server. And I use nick, which I registered with in source HUD, and also I use IRC email user ID equal to the nickname on the IRC network. It's not the nickname on source HUD, it's a different nickname that I used to register on IRC network. And IRC network itself, I can get the list of IRC networks. Let me connect to, for example, OFTC. Let me message bouncer serve. Bouncer, it's replied. Okay, I see the list of available commands for bouncer serve, and I want to see network status. I have two networks configured here, and actually it's libera.chat and OFTC.net, and I will be using those names here and here. This email user ID variable used to specify username during IRC connection, and this username allows bouncer to understand to which network this client tries to connect. That is why we need to specify it. Why we need to specify it this strange way with this variable which has email user ID name, which not very descriptive. It's probably because of some legacy in IRC. In some cases, for some clients, it will be an option to specify a username that you use to connect to the server, but in IRC you have to specify this variable. Probably I will came up later with a better solution for connecting to the bouncer, but for now I use these two simple functions to connect to OFTC and to Libera. Later I will make this interface a little more advanced and configurable, and will provide it as a feature to RD users. And another option that I set is IRC rename buffers. When I connect to bouncer, the server name will be chat source HUD, but it's not very descriptive if I connected to it a few times, so I rename it to the network name. I mean, IRC renames it to a network name automatically, and here the buffer will be called OFTC instead of chat source HUD, and it's much easier to distinguish which network operated by this connection. That's it for today. I covered all the basics of IRC. Also, we talked about registration and bouncers. Maybe later we will talk about storing the logs and connecting to the gateways, but it's a little out of IRC topic and not that important, and probably everyone will be able to figure out this topic themselves. Today I wanted to just provide a basic understanding of IRC and how to work with it, and how it can be useful for projects to communicate and to cooperate on them. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, please send me email or post on RD mailing list, or connect to the channel on IRC and let's chat. Thank you everyone for your attention. See you in a bit.